Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I got some really good ones for you today on this Monday, May 22nd, 2023. A lot's been going on with the markets, so let's dive right into it, shall we? The three major U.S. stock indices all closed mixed for the day. We saw the S&P 500 trade flat. The NASDAQ went up about 0.5%. The Dow Jones came down about 0.5%. Saw a small pop in volatility. That VIX popped about 2%. Modest pullback for gold and silver. Flat day for oil, but the 10-year yield is rising. So that's really like the big one I want to focus on. The 10-year yield. If you had just showed me the 10-year yield right now and I'm looking at it, go ahead. I encourage you to look at the 10-year yield right now. It's coming in about 3.71%. If you had showed me just that data point today, I would have assumed all three major indices would have gotten smacked really hard, especially NASDAQ. So I'm kind of surprised to see like that move higher in the 10-year yield and then the NASDAQ just kind of shrug it off. Look at these tech-heavy, mega cap, large cap tech stocks like Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Oracle, really defying gravity. So good to see tech holding up, but kind of surprising because I would think that rising 10-year yield, should be cause for concern. Watch that 10-year yield. If it pops tomorrow, call it to 3.85%. Well, look out below for the stock market, oil, Bitcoin, and gold. On the flip side of that, if we see that 10-year yield tomorrow pull back from where it's at right now down to, we'll call it 3.6%, I would expect NASDAQ, oil, Bitcoin, and gold to really like that and kind of move up. So keep an eye on that 10-year yield. I really don't like it creeping up like this. 3.71%, pretty high. If we broke 4%, it'd get kind of freaky. So keep an eye on that 10-year yield. Cryptos remain under pressure. So there you go. I was hoping for an altcoin summer, but it looks like I might have to wait. But otherwise, I still like physical gold, large cap, mega cap tech, large cap energy, oil, and crypto. So there you go. Nothing's really changed. We have the debt ceiling, coming up. People are kind of freaking out about the debt ceiling. I'm not personally. If anything, I think they'll wait till the last minute and then they're going to raise it, And if anything, maybe the Fed's using the debt ceiling, or the powers that be, or whoever is using the debt ceiling as an excuse to kind of scare the markets, spread a little bit of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, kind of let some air out of the tires. Because if you were to look at the stock market right now and then kind of compare it with where the economy's at, you would be like, this mismatch is ridiculous. So kind of weird stuff going on. Between the stock market defying gravity, but all this FUD around the debt ceiling. We're gonna raise it. We've raised the debt ceiling like 80 times in the last 40 years. Some presidents will raise it like 15 times over the course of their presidency. So we always make a big deal out of it, and then ultimately nothing happens. If we do default, which I'm assigning like a 1% chance we will, but if we do, yeah, things would start to get a little weird. Like people would start missing their Social Security payments and stuff. But guys, I really don't think it's going to happen. So, what does Mark Twain say? I've had many crises in my life, most of which never happened. Something like that. Did you know Mark Twain? That's a pen name. His real name is like Samuel Longhorn Clemens, and Mark Twain is just a pen name. I didn't know that. So, fun fact for you. Another theme you see going on is de-dollarization, right? Oh no, the BRICS countries, so Brazil, Russia, India, China, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and now Iraq, they're all dumping their dollar reserves. They want to trade oil in something other than US dollars. And, type in de-dollarization on Google, read all about it. Kind of want to give you my perspective on that. Ultimately, yes, these articles that are spreading all this FUD around de-dollarization, they're correct, which is one of the main reasons why I advocate for physical gold, large cap energy, large cap tech, and Bitcoin. So, I'm not really a hater when I read stuff like that. Generally not a big fan of the dollar, and, it kind of is what it is. But I'm also not naive enough to think that this is like okay, so the next few years, the dollar empire is going to implode. the fiat global Ponzi is going to implode. Everybody's going to start transacting in something other than dollars, and then the American standard of living is just totally screwed. I think that's more of a 100-year process than a 10-year one. So I think the dollar empire, although we're talking a lot about de-dollarization right now, I think it's ultimately going to be fine, if not, for the next few business cycles or even credit cycles. Rome started to devalue their currency in 150 BC, and by the 3rd century AD, they were still devaluing. So I don't think de-dollarization is the pressing threat that the MSM, the media, wants you to believe it is, but it is an issue. And why do I think, this process might be a lot slower than we think? Well, the dollar is backed, okay? It's backed by not gold, but it's backed by oil. If you're Argentina and I'm Cuba and we want to trade oil, we're going to both need US dollars to do that. It's backed by confidence. It's backed by trust, stability, the geography of the country. The 50 states, that's a pretty big empire. A lot of those states are the size of most European countries. So Americans look at Europe as this big place, but the reality is Great Britain's the size of Michigan. You know what I mean? So Tina, there is no alternative. There is no alternative. China could try to take the world reserve currency from the dollar, but they're not there yet, and they're not ready, and they're not good at projecting force, and they don't keep the trade lanes open, and they don't, have the petro yuan. They're kind of stuck in the fiat global Ponzi, and they're at a much lower level than the dollar empire. China's good at creeping out. It's good at spreading slowly. So, I'm concerned about Taiwan. That's a bit of a waiting game. But does China have the ability to project force that America does? Not even close. America, the dollar empire, it has a monopoly on the use of physical force, And if the dollar's not going to be backed by anything, it's not going to be backed by gold, well, it's backed by violence. Just like the pound sterling was at one point, just like, the Spanish Empire had it, the Roman Empire had it. At any given time, there's pretty much a largest economy that gets to be the world reserve currency, meaning these other countries with much higher inflation rates, much more unstable markets, they save in dollars, So as the dollar empire floods dollars down the fiat global Ponzi to the rest of the other countries, they save in these dollars. They have confidence in them. And I know if you're an American, you're laughing, confidence, that's hilarious. Stability, that's hilarious. This is the worst inflation ever. Okay, we'll try turning all your dollars into pesos, and save in pesos, and tell me how that goes for you. So the dollar empire has the monopoly on force. It has the institutions, it has the economy, it's the hub for innovation. It's geography. Talk about where it's at on the map. Extremely OP. You got the Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean. All the states are connected, all under the same currency, united. It's pretty awesome. We export a lot of entertainment and media to the rest of the world. That indirectly helps the dollar empire. We're not really listening to Afghan and Paki music here in America that often. We don't really listen to French music, okay? But bet they're all listening to Miley Cyrus. And they're all watching the next Transformers movie. And when I talk about the 50 United States, each of these states being about the size of a lot of countries, they're very different, but they're also very similar in a lot of ways. So we can't discount that. In America, we have the ability to cross the country. I could move right now to Alaska and have a conversation with another American for 30 minutes before they realize, where I'm from. I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this are wondering, dude, where in the States is he? And for intents and purposes, I do not exist anywhere. I am in a liminal space in Web 2, okay? Where I talk to you about what Web 3 is going to be like. So I'm just somewhere in space and time where like the weather's always good. But anyway, I could move anywhere I wanted in America and people would be none the wiser. It's a very homogeneous place. Whereas in other countries, if you walk a few miles and they're going to be asking you like what tribe do you belong to? What group of people do you belong to? Those power structures they change very quickly. It's a kind of a big deal, like who your people are, who you came from. If I moved to Newark, New Jersey, nobody would be. Now I'm in Newark. No one cares. You know what I mean? I mean, think about like the intellectual property that the dollar empire has. Like, you don't think Boeing recovered the crashed alien spacecraft and has reverse engineered it? We have technology that you and I can't even dream of. A lot of those Tic Tac crafts, that I think that's Lockheed Martin or Boeing, you know? Post World War II, America really set itself up on the proverbial risk board really well. Its institutions were the only institutions left that weren't a smoking crater. And to a lot of these institutions, the war never ended, meaning when World War II ended, once Boeing had won World War II for us, they got an endless budget. They got a direct line into the Federal Reserve, skunk works, black programs, all sorts of like weird intellectual capital. Because if you really break it down, like, information is the currency. We have different forms of capital. One of them is intellectual capital. It's not all about the papers and the dollars. You have intellectual capital, like what kind of technology you've co-opted or are developing. You have physical capital, so America's monopoly on the use of physical force and ability to have hundreds of bases all over the planet. On an individual level, you have like emotional capital. You know what I mean? You have, a lot of different, you have social capital. So, we kind of talk about like the media, the American media, and just Americans' ability to like influence other countries' politics, So there's a lot more to the dollar empire than just these worthless Federal Reserve notes that don't even belong to you. They belong to the Federal Reserve plus interest. But there's a lot more to the dollar empire than the media would like you to believe. So, you might think, oh, the dollar's worth nothing. I figured that out and we're like gonna de-dollarize and I should just be a Bitcoin maxi or a gold maxi. You think you're being like red pilled and, ahead of everyone. But the reality is the true red pill for the dollar is actually understanding that although it's not backed by gold or anything, it is backed. It's backed by a lot. It's backed by, the largest economy, the hub of innovation, the monopoly on the use of physical force, the relative stability when compared to other countries, currencies. Its position on the top of the fiat global Ponzi, in which all those dollars that get flooded down are owed back up plus interest. Taxes are required to be paid in US dollars. That provides a lot of demand for the dollar because you're not allowed to pay your taxes in Bitcoin or gold. And unlike a lot of other countries, the IRS actually can enforce levying taxes and collecting them. Try running from the IRS. Tell me how that goes for you. Don't appease the IRS and tell me how that goes for you. They will destroy you. And it's kind of like Grand Theft Auto. They stop at like 5 stars. It's like tanks and it just keeps coming. So, no mafia, no MS-13, no gang, no power structure can avoid paying taxes, because if they try to fight the system, it ends at like nuclear submarines and Nimitz class aircraft carriers and fixed wing. Like, you're never going to win. So the dollar is backed. It's backed by freaking aircraft carriers that are floating cities running on nuclear power that other countries like don't even have the specialty for, let alone the budget, let alone the ability to fight back. And people want to make that seem like it's going to change tomorrow, and it's just not. I mean, even look at Russia. Like, I expected them to take Ukraine pretty quickly, and they're really jammed up, you know? So now, granted, I will say it's not looking very good for Ukraine, but that's kind of a different topic for a different day. I just kind of wanted to tell you guys why the dollar is backed. You know, it does have the petrodollar status. And when another country challenges that, we Gaddafi you. You know, Libya, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan. If you don't play the game the way we want you to play it, we got drones that shoot knives. I think it's called the R9X rocket. Look that up. It's a drone that shoots a missile, but instead of exploding, the missile flings blades out. And it's to minimize collateral damage, but really think of the psychological effect of that. You know, we do this to countries like Yemen that we're not even at war with. It's crazy. You know, it's so you cross the dollar empire and you'd be surprised, you know. And if you're wondering how quickly the dollar's going to implode, well, you'd be surprised. Yeah, that's really all I got for you for right now. I just kind of wanted to drive that point home because, you know, you might get sucked into this rabbit hole of how fast is the dollar going to implode? How fast is the dollar going to implode? And I'm here to tell you, it might be another 400 years. That's really all I got for you today. I hope you found this, I hope you got something out of this. Like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever. You guys are awesome. We're just going to keep going, all right? Till next time.